Hello there. Get the tissues ready for the Scottish nationalists, because there will be no official IndyRef2 in the lifetime of this Parliament. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. As per usual, on this 5th anniversary of the EU referendum, please like, subscribe and comment below. Yes, Michael Gove has spoken and basically said that Boris Johnson will not be giving the Scots Nats their second of however many it takes in a generation referendum before the next general election. But I would give your granny's teeth to be a pixel on the screen of an SNP Zoom meeting right now. I can just see the purple veins in the foreheads of Sturgeon and Blackford pulsating like something out of a scene from David Cronenberg's classic film Scanners. And there will be photos of Michael Gove pinned to dartboards in every Scottish hostelry and a huge surge in Boris Johnson printed toilet roll in every town and village across Scotland. Yes, the EU supporting inhabitants north of Hadrian's Wall won't be happy bunnies, but supporters of the Union will breathe a sigh of relief. But poor old Gordon Brown will be rather glum as new opportunities to dust himself off and appear relevant again fade into the distance. Just a shame his political legacy and the national debt he produced on our behalf won't follow his career into the sunset too, along with the gold he sold off for a song. And 3 years is a long time in politics, and that gives plenty of opportunity for Boris Johnson and Michael Gove to make the case for the UK. Although if recent dealings with Northern Ireland are anything to go by, I wouldn't be holding my breath waiting for a unifying vision to appear from this Tory government. In fact, I wonder how long it will be until Johnson makes the Scots second-class citizens in the UK, like he did to the people of Northern Ireland. It's almost as if this strong libertarian pro-United Kingdom government has only one aim, and that is to break up the Union by both deed and inaction and make sure everyone is subservient to their regional states, with the only British thing left being the UK-wide compliance of the masses to do the right thing in this pandemic. Read into that what you will. Anyway, this pronouncement by the Minister for the Cabinet Office, Michael Gove, will have the SNP mashing their molars. And the SNP leader, Nicola Sturgeon, has replied by saying, "Every time we hear that kind of sneering, arrogant condescension from Michael Gove, or whatever UK minister it may be, completely refusing to accept Scottish democracy, actually the more they just build support for independence." But Sturgeon herself has been accused by the Labour Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, of not treating the residents of Greater Manchester with respect by imposing her travel bans. And Burnham said he felt insulted by Sturgeon's high-handed approach and lack of consultation. And he wrote to her saying that he had received emails from many people claiming to be out of pocket because of her policy changes, and that our 2.8 million residents deserve to be treated with due respect and proper consideration when restrictions are being implemented which will affect their lives. And during the spat, Sturgeon said that if Andy Burnham wanted a grown-up conversation with her, then all he had to do was pick up the telephone. Now that sounds pretty arrogant to me. But the SNP does have a couple of problems of its own anyway, that will probably be concentrating their minds. The first is that some of the 600,000 quid supposedly ring-fenced for an IndyRef2 campaign seems to have been spent elsewhere, much to the annoyance of many donors. And the OECD education report that was successfully kept under wraps by SNP ministers until after the Holyrood elections condemns the Scottish education system as cumbersome and over-complex, with The Guardian reporting, The recommendations included scrapping the Scottish Qualifications Authority, which presided over last year's exams grading debacle, and replacing it with a new agency, and stripping Education Scotland, another quango, of carrying out school inspections. No wonder the report was buried in the run-up to the elections. But getting back to the subject of an IndyRef2, there are reports that the UK government is looking at increasing the franchise for any referendum to allow all Scots living in the UK to have a vote, something that did not happen in the 2014 referendum. And there will of course be calls for Sturgeon to get on and hold a wildcat referendum anyway, despite any pronouncements from Westminster by Johnson or Gove, and one expects Alex Salmond could be at the front of that charge. But I wonder if there really is an appetite in Scotland for such a confrontational move. Moving on. Now we come on to some real government chalk and cheese, and all in the same brand new legislation. One shows the government caving into the demands of vested interests regarding football, and the other shows the government supporting those people who put their lives on the line for the UK. A new statutory instrument issued on the 19th of June and coming into force at 4 a.m. on the 22nd of June amends the coronavirus travel rules to facilitate the entry of 3 different sets of people from foreign countries to enter England only. The first group is those going to UN climate change meetings. The second is for the Euro 2020 invitees. And the third are those travelling to the UK under the Afghan Relocations and Assistance Policy or the Afghan Locally Employed Staff Ex Gratia scheme. So the first change to the rules is for a climate conference. The second, so the rich and powerful can now easily travel to the UK to watch a bit of footy, and the third is to help those who are at physical risk from retributions due to assisting UK forces in Afghanistan to enter the UK for their own safety. And I know which of those decisions is laudable and which of them is despicably unprincipled. Now, according to the explanatory section, the new legislation is mainly about getting visitors into the country by providing for limited exemptions from the obligation to self-isolate, to provide information on a passenger location form, and the requirements in relation to tests for those attending the ministerial meeting organised by the government in connection with the Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Global Education Summit, or related events. But the extras here are: they also exempt certain categories of invitees of the Football Association Limited at the 2020 UEFA European Football Championship from the obligation to self-isolate, and provide for an exemption in relation to the requirement to provide information for persons travelling to the United Kingdom under arrangements made by the government for locally engaged Afghan staff and their families. So one group could hold their meetings over Zoom, like the G7 did not. The second could watch the soccer on the telly. But the third group need to get here for their safety after helping our armed forces. I'll leave you to decide which group among the 3 named is the most deserving of help to get into the UK. But with the G7 and now this, the message seems clear. Know your place. We are just peasants, and our betters and those that provide them with bread and circuses will always take priority over us. Moving on. The claimed attack on the Royal Navy by Russian forces can't have been much more than a damp squib, because the Royal Navy reply was, "What attack?" It seems that the Russians are claiming that they fired warning shots at the RN Type 45 destroyer HMS Defender, which is operating somewhere in the Black Sea, as well as saying that a fighter jet dropped bombs in its path after it strayed into Russian waters. But the UK Ministry of Defence put out a statement saying, No warning shots have been fired at HMS Defender. The Royal Navy's ship is conducting innocent passage through Ukrainian territorial waters in accordance with international law. We believe the Russians were undertaking a gunnery exercise in the Black Sea and provided the maritime community with prior warning of their activity. No shots were directed at HMS Defender, and we do not recognise the claim that bombs were dropped in her path. So if bombs and shells were aimed at Defender, then the Russians clearly need a bit more training to get somewhere near their target. And the UK Defence Secretary Ben Wallace said, "This morning, HMS Defender carried out a routine transit from Odessa towards Georgia across the Black Sea. As is normal for this route, she entered an internationally recognised traffic separation corridor. She exited that corridor safely at 0945 BST. As is routine, Russian vessels shadowed her passage and she was made aware of training exercises in her wider vicinity." And the only points raised by Twitterers was that he had misspelt Odessa and is HMS Defender a girl. And that last one, because Ben Wallace referred to an RN ship as she, will probably be the most lasting controversial point to come out of this, not an impending World War III. Or has there been a bit of turning a Nelsonian blind eye? I see no shells and bombs. So what's your opinion on an IndyRef2, the lifting of pandemic restrictions for wealthy soccer tourists, and Russia claiming to have attacked the Royal Navy? Please like and comment below.